Hello there. Today I'd like to address an argument I've heard a number of times about gun control, saying that stricter gun laws, more regulation about guns in the US would result in less terrible tragedies like mass shootings and murders with guns, like we've been unfortunately seeing in the past few months. This is the argument I'd like to address here. Let's take the most extreme example, go to Fantasyland for a moment, and say that guns are banned completely in the US. Not only are they banned, but they are scoured. Every gun existing right now and all the ammunitions are destroyed, sent to Mars on a NASA spaceship. No more guns in the US at all. Is the number of murderous psychopaths in the country decreased? I would say no, not at all. If all guns are gone tomorrow, exactly the same number of human beings with the intent on killing remains. All that's changed is they no longer have the most efficient tool to do it. So now that guns are gone, what would the murderer do? Would he stop killing? No. He'd take the next best thing. I'd guess a knife. That would be the next best thing, and he'd go killing with a knife. Now, the good thing about him killing with a knife and not a gun is it would be a lot harder for him to kill, let's say, 10 people or 15 people. He would probably be stopped after 2 or 3 or 4. So, no sarcasm here. That is a good thing. But then what? Let's say you have the same number of mass murders, or they wouldn't be mass at this point, but murders happening with a knife. Now what? Would we call for stricter regulation on knives? Let's say we ban knives. Then what? Then the murderer would take a hammer, I guess. Ban the hammers. Now he takes a stick, a lead pipe, a stone, I don't know. He'd take whatever it is. That's the point. It's enough that the person has the intent to do this crime, and he'd find the tool to do it with. Even a car, he'd go on a busy street with a lot of people on the sidewalk and just swerve into the sidewalk and hit a ton of people. So while having responsible gun laws is certainly important, the focus should be on the people doing the killing and not the tools they're using to kill with. One country that does very well on this topic is Switzerland. My source for some of the following information is Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. Switzerland had, as far as I could find, 3 mass shootings since 1992 and today. The most recent happened in May this year, where a person killed 5 people. The next one was in 2001 with 14 dead, and after that it was in 1992 with, I believe, 6 dead. Yes. So, of course, to compare that to the US, very unfair. There are only 8 million people in Switzerland compared to over 300 million in the US. But it is interesting to look at. They have anywhere between 25 and 45 guns per 100 people in the country. I try to find the number of gun owners in the country, which is to me a lot more interesting, because, for example, one person can have 20 guns, but he's still just one person, and another could have only 2 guns and they're both a single person each, so they are equally interesting to me. But sadly, I couldn't find that statistic. So we have anywhere between 25 and 45 guns per 100 people, as compared to about 88 guns per 100 people in the US. Clearly a lot more in the US, but still, if you look at Switzerland, this is a country with a lot of guns. A lot of the population is trained with guns. They have gun clubs. It's a sort of family activity to go out and target practice, shoot at the gun range together, etc. And despite guns being so common and so accessible in Switzerland, it's not nearly as much of a danger or as much of a problem as it is in other countries, including the US. That should be the approach. Looking at countries like Switzerland, like Finland, like other countries with a big gun-owning population and low violence, gun-related violence, and see what they're doing right, and try and copy that to the US. Now, that might definitely lead to stricter gun rules, like a longer training period of training someone how to use a gun and giving them some discipline about using it, etc. But it also might lead to the way that mentally unstable people are treated in the country, and maybe they don't get enough supervision or help, and so they end up taking a gun and killing people. I don't know. But I don't think it is as simple as let's ban guns and then there would be no more violence. I think that's a bit naive and too simplistic. So that's my take. I'd love to hear what you think about the subject. Please write it down in the comments below, and have a wonderful day.